Hi, my name is Reynold Thomas, and I'll be running through a workshop called Reimagining Creativity in Business. So the focus of it is we're going to be looking at perspectives, ideas, and concepts that can be used for business owners, for entrepreneurs who are looking to pivot and stand out in the industry, as well as for creatives like us who are trying to find new ways to be creative and utilize our creative industries to stand out in the work that we do, and to find different ways to explore and to be creative and all of that jazz. So creatives, entrepreneurs, we got some gems that we're going to be dropping for you today. So to get started, let's go ahead and take a look at myself. My name is Reynold Thomas, as I mentioned, and I'm a visual artist. I have been so for quite some time. The work that I like to do, it's really focused on dedicating and building connections that leverage the business world and the world of artistry, and bridging those gaps in between the arts and the business world. So who are you? If you're listening to the class today, I want you to really focus on who you are. Like, what are the aspects that make you who you are? The business that you may own, that you may work for. Whether that be you're an entrepreneur, a creative entrepreneur, an artist, or if you're focused on business and you're an entrepreneur or somebody who's working for an organization. So if you have your paper with you, write down who you are. Start with your name, what you do. While you do that, I'll run through some of the aspects of who makes me, me. So first and foremost, I'm an artist. I have been so for, how old am I? Let's just say half of that. And that's almost 20 years. We won't do the math. So I'm an artist. I've been an artist for quite some time. I focus on body positivity, abstract work, as well as figurative works, and really find different connections between the two worlds of the abstract and the figurative. So it's always better to show you than I can tell you. You can take a look at some of my work. This is a piece called Contemplative, and it's combining figurative works, abstraction, minimalism, as well as cubism all together. I'm a mentor. I've worked with quite a few different organizations, mentoring students, young entrepreneurs from any age group who are looking to explore the worlds of the arts and expand their creative portfolio, and also find help them find their creative voice. So here's an image of myself working with the NIA Center for the Arts on their mentorship program called Creative Connect. Curator, so I've worked on putting on different shows, exhibitions, 4 solo exhibitions of my own, as well as a number of different exhibitions in the city, with group exhibitions with organizations and galleries. Here's a fancy one when we're allowed to go outside and look all cool and stuff. So you can take a look at that. And lastly, educator. I've worked on a few different education programs, like the one we'll be learning through today, as well as education programs with academic institutions that are focused anywhere between artistic development and creative business opportunities that we can learn from these principles to help grow our businesses. So this is a class that I run called Figuration Life Drawing. This is one of the first images from Figuration in its early conception. That's something that we're running now here at the OBJX studio weekly on Thursdays. A simple plug for you. Come on Thursday and vibe with us. So actually a little earlier, just to keep in mind of who you are. I went through some of these different examples. And when we're thinking about reimagining creativity, that starts within us. So a clear perspective of who you are, what you do, and the attributes that you bring to your business is something that it is important to keep in mind. So when we're looking at this idea of reimagining creativity, some may be thinking that that's a very sort of outside of the box way of thinking. What does it mean to reimagine creativity? What does it mean to refocus our idea of what it means to be creative? There's a lot of questions that could be asked on how this concept really works. So we're going to break it down into 4 different nodes. We're going to start with reimagine, then cultivate, adapt, and my favorite, execute. And we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of what all that really means by starting with reimagine. So when we think about reimagining creativity, the main focus is to broaden our definition of what it means to be creative. So a lot of times we think about creatives and we think about creativity. We think that is only honed in on a particular type of individual. So we have been taught many times in our lives that we have people who are logical. We have individuals who are creative, and then there's been a separation in the idea of what that really means. So logical individuals, like, well, no, they're good. They're great at math and science, and they think from very analytical perspective. And creatives, the free thinkers, out of the box people, the hippies. I mean, we have a ton of different ways that we describe the idea of what it means to be a creative person. But what if I were to say that all of these principles can come together and work hand in hand? Whether that be finding different creatives to join your organization so that they can be able to provide you with perspectives of out of the box ideas that many organizations probably would not have thought of. And what if I were to tell you that creatives can utilize business tactics to help grow their businesses? They can use different brain training mindsets activities to help them focus their minds and really think on a clear process. Process orientation and process development is something that can be utilized for creatives. So when you think about reimagining creativity, there's a few different ideas. But one thing that really comes to mind is utilizing these ideas to help us grow. And growth is a mindset that we have to keep within us in all the work that we do. So to ask yourself a question when you think about reimagining creativity, the first question you should ask yourself is reevaluate. What does it mean to be a creative? Does that simply mean that you draw, you paint, are sculptors, and people who work in design? Are those the type of individuals that can be creative? I would challenge that statement. I would challenge the statement in saying that if you were to gear your mind towards learning different ways to think outside of the box, and gear your mind to allowing yourself to practice this idea of thinking out of the box, you have an opportunity to be creative. I think that I will bring this perception, and it's my thoughts, but I feel that it's great for individuals to take this in. Creativity is human nature. When you're a child, the first thing when somebody gives you a pencil, the first thing you do is you draw with it. You tell a child to sit still, the first thing they do is dance. These are things that come to us naturally. And as time goes on, we put away these things and we say, okay, I got to put on my big boy hat and become an adult. But, if you're someone like me, you have the opportunity to create and be a child forever. That's something that you can take in mind. But I'm a big boy. I'm a grown man. Retract the statement. Yes, another thing to do when you're thinking about reimagining creativity is to embrace creativity. Turn your ideas into a reality. So you take a look at the world in new different ways, find hidden patterns, make connections to generate different ideas. A lot of times businesses struggle to stand out in the industries that they're in is because many times they're using a blueprint that may have started their business 10, 15 years ago. Or they're utilizing a roadmap that is very linear. I would challenge that in ways of bringing in somebody who's creative or trying to find different ways to think outside of the box. Creatives, we have a way of also following too deeply into our own ambitions, too deeply into our thought process, that we're not allowing for opportunities to reevaluate if this idea is working. If you can find different ways to create different habits within the work that you do to help reimagine and generate new solutions. Another thing to think about, and a tool that you can use, is a tool called creative thinking, using an unorthodox lens to envision new ideas. Cool. What does that mean? Here's a few different ways that you can think about that. Let's slide into this fancy question mark that I created. Mystery box. There's a concept called Identic Imagery. And I'll go through, just want to make sure I have that right in path for you. Identic imagery is a method of utilizing and uncovering different ideas that may be stored in the back of your minds. So within all of us, we have this principle of storing thoughts and images within the back of our minds, and storing thoughts and images in our own thought processes. And these images can be utilized in creating new ideas, new product knowledge. I would challenge everyone to think about how they can create these different ideas, and how they can utilize this idea of identic imagery to help them think that. So if you are familiar with things like meditation and really sort of refocusing your mind, it allows you to take a step back and really think about what these images are. And you'll be able to see a clear picture of what that looks like. I'm not saying that's something that you can do right off the fly and that product will hit the shelves right away, and then you can thank me later with a healthy paycheck for joining this lesson. But I am saying that it's a great way to help you to refocus and utilize different creative tactics to help focus your minds. So this challenge, we're not going to go into it in depth today, but I really want you to sort of focus on this and maybe take it back home with you. Finding new product releases. Think about that. So draw an image from your mind and create a new product that you think may be able to hit from the shelves. So think about an idea. Let's say if we're talking about a cereal box. We want to hit that cereal box. We want to go over to Whole Foods and have this something be a brand new product. Think about how you would sell this product. Think about an idea, a story that you may remember from maybe your childhood that creates a focus on how you could provide some context to what you would like to sell. So yeah, think about that. Think about that exercise. I do this quite a bit in the visual arts that I do, and it's actually been pivotal in the business side of the work that I do. I have this idea of creating this thing called a concept day. I book myself in the studio for 2 days, and I just wait for ideas to come to me magically. And sometimes it does. And I think that it's a great way to really refocus and find these ways of telling those stories, develop a concept, and create a story behind it by utilizing these practices. So that is Reimagine. So reimagining, that's our focus for today. Our next concept that we're going to learn about is cultivate. What does it mean to cultivate creativity? What does it mean to look at creativity and say, hey, I'm going to make this into my own? When we think about cultivating creativity, there's a few different concepts we can think about. One is inspiration. The second is the culture that we create. So inspiration, when you think about cultivating creativity, there's questions that you can ask yourself. What motivates you? And if you're working within an organization, what should your employees care about? And why should they care about your business? I think that would be the more proper question. So here's your what, your why. Why should employees care about the business? Why should customers buy your product? How do you inspire people to take these things on? How do you inspire people to come into your store and think, yes, this is the place that I want to be? Or come into your studio and say, hey, this is the place I would like to create. I would challenge to say by building a story and an inspiration that allows you to stand out in your industry. Inspiring people by the work that you create. Inspiring people by the stories that you create around your work. These are different things that you can think about. Why should anybody buy your product? Why should anybody buy your artwork? For what it is, it may be beautiful, definitely. What you create is always going to be beautiful. But what can you do to help people understand that this is what I want? Help people understand that this is the piece that speaks to me. And that is by the stories that we create, by embracing a nature of creativity, embracing a culture of creativity. Culture. My favorite thing when I speak about anything that I do is focused on this word right here. Anybody read that out for me in the back? Purpose. Yeah, purpose. Purpose drives our every decision. Humanity first is our reality. This mentality forms a cornerstone of something amazing, a creative culture. So if you're thinking about being purpose-driven means understanding what your why is. Purpose-driven means understanding the role that you play in other people's lives. So that's what this sort of full circle looks over here. If this was a bald guy with glasses, it'd be me. And everyone who's connected to me comes in full circle if I'm operating in a culture of purpose and reality. So embracing that culture and creating an environment that allows people to feel that culture and feel inspired to create, feel inspired to come to work every day and want to be there. A lot of times we meet certain individuals who go to work every day, but it's not something that they want to do. We had a discussion earlier today, just speaking about that, being in a space in a space of time of, going through life and creating opportunities for yourself. But those opportunities may have been financially driven. They may have been driven by wanting to make somebody else happy. But success needs to be something that is inward. Purpose is something that is inward and allows you to express that from an outward experience. So here's a cool example. I'm pretty sure everyone has seen a Pixar film. Has everyone seen a Pixar film? Yeah, woo! Everyone's seen a movie by Pixar, by Disney. Disney and Pixar in particular have created a culture of creativity. And I'll tell you how. So the president of Pixar is an individual named Ed Catmull, and he was, funny enough, wanted to be an artist, but unfortunately was told that there were no opportunities to be an artist during the time that he was a child. So he decided that, hey, I'm going to go into technology. But this idea of being an artist always sat with him. So he actually created the first piece of technology that allowed you to draw pictures with technology. And that was actually the picture, it was called Pixar. And they utilized that piece of technology with Lucasfilms, and then moved over to Disney. And Disney gave them the opportunity to make a movie. And they're saying, well, hey, I would love to make a movie, but it has to be something that is driven through purpose. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my notes here just to make sure that I'm providing you with the best depiction of what that really means. So, with 15 Academy Awards, an average worldwide gross of $600 million per film, Picture This might be the most successful creative enterprise ever, and one of the most profitable ones ever as well. Out of the 14 feature films that they produced, all but one of them made the list of the top 50 highest grossing animated movies. So that's a pretty cool stat. but I would challenge to say, and Ed Catmull in his book called Creativity Inc. is actually speaking about what made this industry a creative culture and what made them successful, because they operated in a space and they operated in a place of embracing ideas. No idea was something that was shut down, and they didn't have a place sort of hierarchy. I mean, hierarchy is something that enforces workflow, but what they did is they allowed for every idea to come forth and to provide a space where everyone felt like they can provide those ideas. How many people have been in a space or a conversation where they felt that I'm gonna take a back seat here because I don't feel comfortable enough to share what my idea is, or maybe I'm not smart enough to share this idea, maybe I'm not talented enough to do so. A creative culture allows for individuals to feel that the work that they produce, their ideas have value. And when you bring value and purpose together, you have a space where people feel comfortable. And now you have a well-oiled machine where everyone is, kicking at 4 cylinders or 6 cylinders if you want to drive that Hemi vehicle, right? This lamp here is actually a lamp that was on somebody's desk, and someone said, hey, I think that this should be our logo. And the executive said, hell yeah, we'll make it our logo. And that is what something that became iconic. So opening up a space for everyone to feel welcome and create that creative culture that allows you to be successful. Well, that's all cool. That's all fluffy, real stuff. What's the next step from here? How do we reimagine, cultivate, put this into action? I would challenge and say, adapt. Adaptability is what's going to take you to the next step. Business development strategies, techniques, and principles to help adopt and ensure success. Wow, that's a fancy text right there, Ren. What does that really mean? It allows you to, once again, work in full circle. You may have somebody who's the owner of something, somebody who's the lead on something, a group of individuals who are doing the work. But that is always something that's going to have to be interchangeable. So the lead may at some point got to be doing the work, because they might be the subject matter expert on something, but they need to be leading by example. So for this part, we're going to be looking at a few different tools of adaptability that would help creatives, businesses, individuals, entrepreneurs succeed. First thing, pivot. Has anybody played basketball before? No? Don't move your pivot foot. I mean, today's the age of basketball. You can take 3 steps and it's okay, but in traditional basketball that I played, pivot foot, understanding which way to go to divert and move quickly. Agility is something that's really focused when you think about pivoting. Rethinking your business models. So we touched on it a little bit earlier. What ideas and principles are no longer working? Why are we still using them if they no longer work? Is it because we're comfortable? Is it because we don't want to do the work to change them? Re-examining our customer experience. Is this working for the people who are buying our products? Is this working for the individuals who are followers of our art? When you think about being a creative business, especially if you're focusing on things like the fine arts or the work that you're producing, the artwork that you're producing, that is a very inward process. I mean, a lot of cases you're not doing the work for somebody else. You're doing the work for yourself. Is this working for you? Is the work that you're producing, the artwork that you're putting together, is this something that you want to do? Or are you just doing it to go through the motions? Is it satisfying a need? Is it satisfying a want? But think about it, dial back and think about if that work is making you happy and if the customer is also understanding your frustration. Does the customer feel, well, this person's changing, I'm not really following their work anymore? In many cases, that could be the push and pull. In many cases, that could be something where you may find a new niche of individuals who want to purchase your work, and that is okay. But doing the work to re-examine who that creative niche is, who your customer is, and how to sell to that customer is important. Developing new products. So being able to pivot in the industry will help you do that. Being able to say, hey, let's go in this direction, and have the courage to do so, but also the support around you to ensure that that is something that's going to work. So here's a principle used by Pixar, created by Pixar, called the brain trust. So this is a fancy way of saying having a meeting and really focusing on the ideas of what make this meeting impactful. So Pixar's key mechanism to success is candor is the key to collaboration. So candor, that's honesty. But honesty at a way of saying direct honesty. Is this working? Can I be open with this individual on this team? Identify and solve problems by eliminating fear or intimidation. What is intimidating people from being honest? Is there a fear to do so? Yeah, so there's a few different ways to look at that. So this exercise, we're not going to go through today, but think about what that really means. In a brain trust, what happens is everyone gathers in a room at your regular meeting, and they would present their ideas. In this case, for Pixar, they would present their storyboards for a new feature film. Now, a lot of cases, what happens is, depending on who's in the room, individuals may feel that, okay, well, once again, my ideas may not be purposeful. I'm not going to say what I want to say. You may feel that you're higher up, or the people in the room, you may not want to hurt their feelings by saying, hey, it's great. But there's no problem in saying it's great, but here's how this can be better. The brain trust is focusing on developing the best ideas that leads to ultimate success. $600 million in grossing for every movie. Ultimate success. I would say that finding a group of creatives, a group of individuals who you developed a relationship around to feel that you can be as honest as possible in a way that is supportive of the best idea. Provide the best feedback for somebody's artwork. Provide the best feedback for a new product that your friend may be developing. Provide the best feedback on your friend's attitude toward a project, because that's needed. We need to ensure that we have people around us who can check us, let us know either we're out of line or here's a different approach. Those are the type of things that Radical Candor, there's a book called Radical Candor. The author is escaping me, but look it up. It focuses on bringing those principles, understanding what is necessary to lead to erase this right here. How do you eliminate fear through honesty? So we went through this here. Keys to a brain trust success. I'll read through this one here. Candor isn't cruel. This is directly from Ed Catmull. Candor isn't cruel. It doesn't destroy. On the contrary, any successful feedback system is built on empathy, on the idea that we're all in this together, that we understand our pain because we've experienced it ourselves. The brain trust is fueled by the idea that every note we give is in service of a common goal, supporting, helping each other as we try to make better movies, as we try to make better products, as we try to make the best art that we can. Okay, so go briefly into this I'm always very purposeful when speaking about the importance of an effective meeting. Approached by being descriptive and deeply analytical, focus on identifying and solving problems. The use of empathy to eliminate fear and intimidation. No top-down approach. Being additive and not competitive. To be additive means to add solutions, add the best characteristics of what needs to be done. Competitive, seeing what your colleague is doing and either trying to beat them at something. We're all playing a different game here, especially in the individual art world. We're playing a different game, but there's different solutions that we can bring together to help us all be successful. And here's another really big one here. You're not your idea. And if you identify too closely with your ideas, you'll take offense when they are challenged. So think about that. All right. So reimagine, cultivate, adapt, and finally, my personal favorite, execute. That was a guillotine. Thanks for the pity laugh. I'll take it though. I'll take it. Execute. Yes. All right. Cool. So execution. To execute, you would need key things. You would need a strong team and leadership, and that is when it's time to get the work done. So what helps you put together this strong team, this group of leadership? Talent, sourcing what that talent looks like. There's a project management principle called forming, storming, norming, and performing. So identifying what your team would be and who this team is, that is the forming stage. So you're forming your team, you're forming your group of success. Storming, kicking in the door, waving in the 4-4, and finding different ways to utilize the team. Identify what the strengths of this team is. Storming, norming. Norming is to make things. Now you got your working team. You have your working principles. Now it's time to put this to work and make it your everyday. Live and breathe this new process that you've created. Performing. Now you're firing in all cylinders. You've taken everything that you've learned, the team that you put together, and you're succeeding at a high level. So your talent, building that strong network, the right people who have the right industry knowledge, and great leadership. So leaders doesn't necessarily mean who's got the most accolades, who wears the biggest hat. Leaders are formed by those who do the work. Leaders are formed by earning the right to be called a leader. Not necessarily solely by credentials, but also by your attitude and approach. Switch that mindset that you may have. Remove the idea of sort of a negative approach. Do you want to be that leader that says your work is terrible, take it down? Or do you want to be that leader that says there's room for improvement? Here is how you can improve. When you think about execution, it's also about finding the right time to get this work done. Timing in place and strategies involved. How do you put together these strategies that we've discussed? When is the perfect time to have a brain trust with your team? When is the perfect time to pivot your website, pivot how you redesign the work that you have, your Instagram, your social media? Utilizing different analytical tools to help you do that. From a creative aspect, what sort of principles can you utilize to help you be organized? Is there a calendar that you can use to help you strategize your ideas? Creatives, is it opportunity to now apply for these type of different roles? Application is key for our individuals who are focusing on organizations, and you may be working on something that is very mundane and a scientist and something like that. I'm not going to diss a scientist, but day-to-day things that you may be working on. I like to use the scientists, because scientists are really just creatives themselves. But this idea of mindsets and grouping individuals based off of their way of thinking is something that I would like to, in the work that I do, erase and create that bridge right across to help everyone be successful, whether you're logical, creative, utilize all sides of your brain to be successful. And that's that's it for me today. A big old thank you. Thanks for taking your time to be part of this session. Where you find me, I'm all over. If you come to OBJX, I'll be here all the time. You can come here and find me working. Here's my webpage, social media. You can find me over here. Ren's Art, Thomas Art. That's it for me. So thank you very much for being part of this session. We're definitely going to be working out an opportunity to be running out different type of workshops that can be led by myself and the work that I do, and with OBJX in partnership in creating an atmosphere for everyone to feel that they have this creative space to come and learn and a place to apply that knowledge. So that's what we like to create here. Thank you very much, and we'll see you guys next time.